Hey everyone, this is Rob from Revelation Rain, coming at you with another video where we go through each of the tracks on our new album, Day of the Lord, which came out in April of this year. So we've gone through all of what I would consider to be side one. We've gone over the first 7 tracks of the CD. And like I said before, the CD has 14 tracks. And today we're going to talk about track number 8, which is called Crown of Thorns. Now, this is probably by far one of my most favorite songs that I've ever written, musically and lyrically. And it's also got one of the coolest arrangements. It's just a song that came together by putting different music pieces together. I had several riffs that I was going to use for different songs, and then I decided ultimately to just use all those riffs in one song, and it worked out perfectly. And the song goes back quite a long ways. I would say it was probably written around 1996, 1997. Excuse me. And I remember I was staying at my cousin's house. Her name is Trisha, and we were always close growing up together. And by this point, we were both pretty much out on our own. So I was at her house, staying with her, and I remember she had to go to work. And her 2 stepsisters, Amy and April, were living there at the time as well. So Trisha was at work, and I don't remember where April was, but I remember the youngest one, and she's only about 3 or 4 years younger than we are. But anyway, she was at home, and I remember I was in the guest bedroom where I was staying, and I had my acoustic guitar with me, and I was just kind of strumming around, working on some musical ideas. And that's when I decided I was going to put all these riffs together to make it one song rather than 2 or 3 separate songs. So I'm working on the arrangement of the song, and I can hear her in her bedroom having this conversation on the telephone with her boyfriend. And it wasn't a pleasant conversation. Apparently he wasn't treating her right. She didn't feel as though he valued the relationship, etc. And as I'm listening, and I wasn't like eavesdropping, but the rooms are right next to each other, I could hear what was being said on her end. As I'm hearing what she's saying to him, these lyrical ideas start popping into my head. And so the song was initially called Coming for You. And it was about basically what was happening on her phone conversation. But I tilted the perspective some. I wrote it from an outsider perspective, talking to this gal about, this guy's never going to treat you good. He's never going to treat you right. Why do you keep going back? Hey, what you need is a new fella, a new guy that will treat you right, somebody that will do right by you, okay? Kind of reminds me of the song that Elvis sang called It Hurts Me. Very similar in lyrical content. So anyway, I grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm just scribbling down these lyrical ideas. And once I had a good basis for the song, then I went through and rewrote it so that, everything fit. So I had all my musical pieces in place, and now I had my lyrics, and I had the song title. But musically, it's one of the more complex songs that we've ever done. It's got a crazy arrangement, but it's great. It's got several different parts, so you're always changing up tempos, you're changing the parts. But I love the song. And you can hear a version of that original song coming for you on our YouTube channel here. You can hear a version. My stepbrother and I recorded it in a little studio, so it's just guitar, bass, and vocals. But you can hear that original song coming for you. I never did a whole lot with the song until around, I had the completed song. And actually, when I was living in Grand Rapids, we would perform that song as Coming for You. So actually, we did do quite a bit with that song in that band that I was in. But once that band broke up and then I started raising a family and whatever else, all that stuff got set aside. Well, a few years ago, um, I decided I wanted to go into a studio and record some of my songs. So I went into a studio in Cadillac. There was a guy that had a studio. His name's DJ, right? DJ Wilson? No, Dan Wilson. I'm sorry. Sorry, Dan. Dan Wilson. And he's got a studio there in Cadillac, does great work. And he's a great guy. And so I went in and recorded 5 or 6 of my original songs. And he helped me immensely with the recording process. And it was at that time that I decided I wanted to put this song on there. But in the meantime, from the time that I'd written it up until the time where I decided, and this was probably in 2018. In 2018, by the time 2018 rolled around, I'd been saved for 5 years. So I decided I wanted to change the lyrics of the song to reflect that, to reflect my salvation, to reflect the changes that had occurred in my life ever since trusting on the blood of Jesus, and also reach out to other people to let them know that they should do the same. So I'd always had this title lying around that I thought was very cool, but I never written anything around it. And the title, of course, was Crown of Thorns. So I had the title, I had the music, so now the goal was to write some good lyrics for it. And I remember sitting in my living room, and it was like the floodgates opened. It's like the hand of God rested on me, and all of a sudden these lyrics just started pouring out. And especially in the chorus, I was especially pleased with the chorus, with the call and return between the backing vocals and the lead vocal, and the way that the lyrics just came together. It's like biblical verses would just pop into my head, and they found their way into that song. And so when I had the lyrics done, I went into the studio with Dan, and that was one of the songs that I recorded. And when Grant and I first met in 2019, a bass player that I was playing with, a good friend of mine named Josh, we had gone through, meaning Josh and I had gone through several incarnations of a band, trying to get a band together. And when we met up with Grant, we settled on a new band name, and we found a lead guitarist, and we were playing out, and that was one of the songs that I always wanted to do. I had these original songs, but unfortunately, with that version of the band, we were locked into doing mostly cover tunes with a few originals thrown in. And it was okay, but it wasn't ideal. I always wanted to do all originals. I longed to be in a band doing all originals. So with learning all these cover tunes and whatever else, and with the complex arrangement that Crown of Thorns has, it never even was attempted. We never even attempted to try to learn it. And so I always figured, well, I guess the best I'll have is my demo, and that song will just have to exist like that. So you fast forward, that band didn't work out, and early 2020, I've told the story before, Grant contacted me, and through a series of conversations, we decided to put a new band together called Revelation Rain, doing all original material, Christian-based. And once we had JT and Marty in the lineup, and we were focused on just learning original tunes, by the time we had our first record done, I said, I think this band, with our emphasis on originals and with the talent that we have in this group, I'm going to bring Crown of Thorns to the band. And I think we can do it. I'm certain that we can nail this song down, and it could be on our next record, and we could introduce it into the live set. So I brought it to the band, and it took a while, but these guys are great. Grant, Marty, JT, phenomenal musicians. We nailed it. We got it down. And when we went into the studio to record Day of the Lord, you now can hear it on the album. It's track number 8, which means Again, thinking in terms of vinyl albums, it's track 1 on side 2. And you want your track 1 on side 2 to be a strong opener, just like you want track 1 side 1 to be a strong opener. And I always believe that those songs, track 1 on both sides, should have something in common. And Holy and Crown of Thorns have a lot in common, especially lyrically. So they have that. They link together in that way. But also, it's just a strong album opener as far as side 2. I didn't think it was as strong as Holy to make it side 1, track 1, but definitely side 2, track 1. And so that's where it's placed, and I think that's where it's appropriately placed. And we all agreed on that. But there was a long history to that song, and it always ended up getting shelved because of the complexity, the arrangements, the different parts, the changing in tempos, and all this other stuff that's going on. But once I had the new lyrics to it, it became even more personal to me. And so I knew it had to be on an album, and we needed to do it live. And I remember JT saying, this song has taken us a long time, but once we have it down and we play it live, people are going to be impressed. And he was right. It's one of those things where if you can get a song like that down, that's an accomplishment. That's a huge accomplishment. And when you play a song like that live, even people who aren't musically inclined, can tell when a song has some complexity to it. And sure enough, people appreciated that. There were a couple of songs, and we'll get into those in these upcoming videos. Some of the stuff that JT and Marty were brought in had some complex parts and changes as well. But Crown of Thorns is probably the pinnacle as far as that goes. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as the history of the song. Like I said, since 96, 97, that song's been in existence, just had a different title, different lyrics. But once I got saved and I decided to record my demos, I knew I needed to write new lyrics and get a new title. And once we had Revelation Rain in place, I knew we had the people in the band that could make this song happen. And it sounds great. If you listen to it on the CD, you can hear just how intricate all the parts are. Of course, JT has got his blistering guitar solos, and he's, of course, I'm just following him on the rhythm guitar parts, but you can hear both guitars in there. Marty's always adding something cool on the bass. I would say that the most complex part to it, because the guitar parts and the bass parts are complex, but you have to remember now the drums have to accommodate those. The drums have to fit in. And, it was a challenge for Grant to get those parts down, but we always knew that he could do it, and he did. He nailed it. And there's a part when you come out of the guitar solo, it goes into this third verse, and instead of going back into the bridge, again, it changes up, and it goes into this different section where the tempo is almost completely different. It's just kind of a little breakdown, and he nailed it. And that's saying something about who he is as a drummer. But anyway, that's the history of the song, the background of the song, why it's placed where it's at. Again, Day of the Lord has 14 tunes. You can buy it for $10. If you are a digital download person or a streaming person, you can find it on over 150 different digital platforms. If you prefer a physical copy, we have CDs available. All you have to do is email revelationrainonline@yahoo.com. We'll send one out to you. It's a great CD from top to bottom. Again, our first record was great. This one raised the level on every level. So again, guys, I hope that you enjoy these videos. I hope that you'll check out Day of the Lord. And please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're always putting new stuff up here. All right, guys, take care and God bless.